Clark, Lois, and Jimmy will return in My Adventures with Superman Season 3.
Another amazing season of My Adventures with Superman has come and gone.
But we're not ready to let go just yet.
So we're firing up a Season 2 marathon as a summer send-off.
There is another like you.
Run! We need to lose them!
What do you think we're trying to do, Dad?
Ready, Kara?
Catch up with our My Adventures with Superman Season 2 marathon.
Next Saturday from midnight to 5 a.m.
Only Toonami on Adult Swim.
Hello everyone, welcome to our podcast, Toonami Therapy. On July 17th of 2024, I'm Michael.
Yeah, hello, I'm Tommy.
And we're here to talk about anime we've been watching, some of which airs on Toonami. Speaking of which, we have some news. I was going to say, I was trying to think of the right adjective to use there, which was why the pause. Do I call it exciting, surprising, weird? I don't know, but apparently they're going to be skipping ahead a number of episodes in Naruto to the Chunin exams. So, which means that, what episode did we just go through? We were on episode 6, I think. And so they're skipping forward to episode 20. Okay?
Yeah, I don't know if it's like bad ratings or some other reason, but they just like, we're skipping ahead to the shooting exams. And people can't figure out why, but
yeah,
not too much complaining.
Yeah, it is weird, especially because the arc we're on, it was a pretty decent arc, I thought. But here's like the really weird thing. So we're on like what I think people usually call it the Zabuza arc. But if they were going to skip to the Chunin exams, why not just skip over this arc entirely? Why give us the first 2 episodes of it? We could have just literally, if we had skipped from over this, we could have, if we hadn't done the last 2 episodes, we would have had a cleaner break. We wouldn't have started an arc and then say, well, okay, next arc.
Yeah.
The funny thing is that this actually isn't unprecedented for Toonami. Way back in the day, some series, I think it was just Prince of Tennis and Mare. Is that how it's pronounced? Mar? I think it's Mare. Or March and Awakens Romance, as its full name is. They actually just skipped episodes. Like, they were like, here's episode 1, next is episode 2, then episode 6 and episode 11. They went at they were just, and it wasn't like they just did one skip. They did a bunch of skips for those series.
Did they go backward at times?
I don't think they ever went
here's
backwards.
Episode 6, then, yeah.
let me see if I can actually see some of the stuff. No, I don't see them offhand. I just know it was a really weird thing where they just did it like that. They were, let's see. Okay. Yeah, I can't remember exactly when how it goes. I just know that for those series and maybe some other ones, they just skipped a bunch of episodes multiple times. I think they then went back to the start and aired it normally, but then they stopped airing it after a while. So that was kind of weird. I don't know what's going on there. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with this one either. Rights issues, ratings, who knows? They only announced this about 6 hours ago.
Yeah. Yeah, I was one of the dissenters on Facebook. I was like, why are you doing this? You know, I mean, I'm thinking it has something to do with like low ratings, but you know, I'm never gonna hear that from. They're never gonna give that away. So, I don't know. Every time I find a site that does TV ratings, that site shuts down within couple months. So
I'm
TV by the numbers shut down, and then well, I forget what the last one was. It shut down. Yeah.
Oh, I see your comment on the Facebook post. You got 4 thumbs. You got 4 likes. It's more than any other comments that I've. No. Some of these other ones got more, but you still got more than most of them. Okay. Yeah. Weird. So I guess there's that. We'll just go into the Chunin exam. I mean, the Chunin exam arc was popular and pretty well received, but it's just a very weird decision. Okay, so we'll move into it, onto our coverage of the series. One thing I did want to mention, I forgot to mention it last week, because Zom 100 ended, and I was just going to say, well, neither of us were really that into the series, but in case you, the listener, was interested and wanted to know where to read the manga, the official translation is at Viz Manga, VIZ Manga. It's an app. It's a website and an app, though. To subscribe, you have to do it through the app. It's $2 a month, and you get access to all their intervening all like the chapters of it. So if you were interested in that, that's how you can do it. I think you start on chapter 21 or 22 if you want to pick up where the anime left off. Anyway, into our actual series. Just wanted to say that quick. So we've got My Adventures with Superman episode. What episode? Oh yeah, 19. So basically, they Brainiac decides to invade Earth, and they try to fight him back, but he's he's really strong. He's able to do stuff, and while there were all those robots that Luther and Amanda Waller made, he's able to take control of them. So, oh no, things look really bad for our heroes. How will they manage to? Well, they're going to solve it somehow because we've only got 1 episode left this season.
Yeah.
So if you're expecting some lengthy thing, no, it'll probably be done in the next episode. So
yeah. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, after the season was kind of not so great for the last few episodes, I thought this was an improvement.
Yeah, I would agree with that sentiment. It hasn't been really good ever since that bizarre episode with the girl capturing Superman. But this episode wasn't too bad. But this season's definitely weaker than last season. So I would take last season over this season easily.
Okay. Yep, that's all we really have to say about that, I guess. Let's see. Then we've got One Piece. We've got 675 and 676. So we get a big flashback about Kairos, who's at what do they call him, the Flame Soldier? Yeah, that's it. Basically about how he ended. He was this really strong gladiator who ended up joining the King's Guard. He and the princess kind of fell in love, but due to reasons, they kind of had to fake her death so that she could be with him. And then they had a kid, Rebecca, but then Doflamingo shows up, in the previous very lengthy flashback from a while ago. He manages to take over Dressrosa. What's her name? I can't remember the name of Rebecca's mother. Was it Charlotte? I think it was Charlotte. Scarlet. It was Scarlet. I was close.
Close, yep.
I think wasn't there a Charlotte in this series? I feel like there was a Charlotte in this series. I think that's Big Mom's. Yes, Charlotte Lindland. That's Big Mom's actual name. Okay. So he tries to fight, ends up losing his leg, but gets turned into a toy, but manages to get away. And that sets up all that. It would have been better if they had relegated it to 1 episode instead of stretching it out to 1.5. So then we get back to the present tense. So remember when Usopp had the big dramatic moment where he decides to come back and fight and stuff? Well, he gets beaten off screen. And so then when he's all tied up, Sugar, instead of just Sugar decides, okay, that like poison, berry or whatever, I can't remember the name of the made up fruit that they were. She decides to make Usopp eat it, which makes him breathe out a bunch of fire. He has this ridiculous reaction thing where his eyeballs like just straight up come out of his skull and like twist around, which freaks her out so much that she faints, which is good because that was the whole point of what they were trying to do. So, yeah. Now, last week I said that this episode was going to have what was simultaneously the best and the worst part of this arc. And this is that part, the way they defeat Sugar. It's the best because it's actually really hilarious. That's how it happened. I like the fact that Usopp eats it and it has such an over-the-top reaction that it just freaks her out and she faints. But it's the worst because I need to stress, if she didn't fall unconscious, the good guys would have lost. Straight up, the bad guys win. And the only reason it works out this way is because instead of just deciding, okay, I'll just turn this guy into a doll and make him obey my commands like I do to everyone else, she decides to be a complete idiot and just put it in his mouth there, which then causes it. So, and it also means that this wasn't like Usopp got to do something cool or whatever to accomplish it. It was just basically the enemies being idiots and pure dumb luck that got them this victory at this point. I just feel like this could have been fixed with just a small adjustment. What if Usopp was trying to fight, but he was like losing and stuff, and then just literally as a last ditch effort, just popped it into his mouth to hope that would freak her, his reaction would freak Sugar out or something like that. And then he could have done it. She could have had her reaction. It would have had all the funny stuff, but it would have actually had Usopp, actually doing it on purpose and stuff. I think that would have been kind of cool.
Yeah, it would have been. Yeah. Yeah. So this was a major enemy, and they get beat by that.
Well, Sugar, pretty much, yeah. I had no problem with Sugar faint, because the whole point was to make her faint. She's actually not that strong in combat, even if her ability is kind of to turn people into toys, make them follow her commands, and make everyone forget about their existence is kind of broken. But they had to do that because that will completely reverse all of the stuff that she caused, which is super important to their victory. Yeah.
Like Robin coming back.
Yeah. It's kind of like how many characters on JoJo just have their stands canceled out if they ever faint. So, yeah, so that's the thing. I like the idea. I think it is really funny that it's an over-the-top reaction from Usopp, and it looks really cool. Good. I think it worked a little better on the manga page when you see their dual reactions, but it worked okay in the anime. But just the stuff that went right into it, them deciding we have to like have Usopp regress as a character and learn the lessons he already did so that he can show up in a dramatic moment, lose off screen, and then win by complete dumb luck. So the moment itself is great, but the stuff that leads to it I don't like. So that's why I legitimately think it's the best and worst part of the arc.
Yeah, hard to argue with that.
Okay. And all right, I guess we'll go past that. You didn't see Naruto Shippuden this week. I kind of watched it, but I forgot basically everything outside of the fact that, hey, they play that Go Go Naruto background music. I haven't heard that for a while. That's a really catchy tune.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't know what I'm talking about, you can like look it up on YouTube or find the song. It's just called Go Go Naruto, and it's this background music that sometimes plays, and it's a pretty catchy one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so after that, we move on to the stuff that was not on Toonami. We've got Full Metal Panic, the second raid, episode 13, end of the season.
Yep. So, as we knew last episode, Kaname is dead. Well, actually, she's not, because while Sosuke is about to give up, all of a sudden she just appears in the streets of Hong Kong, and that rejuvenizes him, and he goes and defeats the bad guy whose last words were, "I could sure use a haircut," or something to that effect. And Sosuke wins. Everyone goes home happy, and Sosuke goes back to school again. And Kaname is still tsundere, so she's still Kaname, and Sosuke is still Sosuke, and Tessa, for some bizarre reason, thinks that Sosuke likes her more because he called her by her nickname, and yeah, so that was this episode and the end of the season, and I thought it was actually, contrary to what I said before, I think it was actually a very satisfying ending to the season. In fact, watching this again, I'm wondering if I tried watching too many episodes in a row the first time I watched this, and maybe that's why I didn't like it that much, because honestly, I think this was a pretty solid season, and yeah, I think it was pretty good. It was a lot better than what I thought the first time around. So I have to say I enjoyed it.
So I would say overall I liked it, but there were some things I didn't, and compared to the first season, it's a little weird. Some parts, things I liked more, some things I liked less. To get into some things I guess I didn't really like. So it's weird because this season decreased compared to the first. The amount of fan service was less, which was good. But then when it went for it, it went way more hard for it in this season than the first one. That's why it has like the mature rating on Crunchyroll. There's that in the second episode, I think, that really surprisingly explicit scene that I'm like, what was the point of that? Why did you put that there? To introduce these two female, the two female, like, sister characters who were enemies who, by the way, why were they in this season? They don't do anything. Like, they're around, so they're there, they decide to betray the bad guy. One of them ends up dying when they try to go after Kaname, which is basically the one actual like contribution they make to the plot, and that could have just been done by any generic enemy. So the one of them dies and the other is angry about it, and then they're, and that's just kind of it. I don't think the remaining one shows up again, as far as I can tell. So when I looked it up, so I'm just like, why did those characters get introduced? They didn't really feel like they did much. Maybe they did and I forgot, but I don't know. So that was weird. So those were some things I didn't really like. But some better things were, the main villain was a lot more interesting than anyone in the previous season because he's completely insane. I just kind of wish we had seen more of this guy now. Because he has some like, just because he's so insane, there's some good comedy, sometimes dark comedy, but comedy. Like you said, like his last words are, "I need a haircut" or something like that.
Yeah, I could use a haircut.
So, but on some other good things, the plot is better, I think, than the first season. The first season had all these things, and I was just kind of left. When it went more serious stuff, I usually didn't like it. And it was usually better this season when it went for the more serious plots. So the things that I complained about before aside. So yeah, compared to the first season, I think I would maybe rank this slightly higher on the whole. It does some things better and some things worse.
Yeah. I think I rank this a 7 out of 10. After I think that's what I put on it the first time too, but I think I'll keep it there.
What did you give the first season? Was it? I think you said it was an 8.
It was either an 8 or a 9. Should be an 8, but
I remember you
who knows?
I remember you said that after you rewatched it, you went back and changed your rating on my anime list. You dropped it down one, but I can't remember what numbers they were.
Okay, so yeah, the first season got an 8. Second rate got a 7. I'm
Okay.
keeping it there. Fumoku got a 9. So, yeah.
Okay. To clarify, the 8 is your current rating for it, not your previous rating for the first season.
Right.
Okay. All right. Okay, so that's the end of this. We do have one more season to go. We're not going to be starting that next week because we're basically my co-host is going on vacation after next week. We will be here for one more week before going on break, and we thought it didn't make much sense to start a show, then go immediately on break for a few weeks.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's it for this bit of the Full Metal Panic. We'll see how Invisible Victory turns out. And yeah, that's the end of the anime so far, but I think there is more to the story in the light novel. So maybe we'll get another season sometime. Wasn't there like a really long gap between Second Raid and Invisible Victory?
Really long. Yeah.
I need to see what it was now. Let me look. Let's see. Second Raid aired in 2005, and Invisible Victory aired in 2018. That's a 13-year gap.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll get the more in 2031. All right. Don't have anything else to say about that?
Nope, that's it.
All right. So after that, we've got Dark Gathering episode 20. So in this episode, we find out that some ghosts or spirits are possessing people, and for their next attempt to capture a spirit, or like I said, basically their next step on their attempt to catch all the Pokemons, they find an old water gate. They run into this person who's apparently a big time exorcist, but actually got possessed by one of the spirits, which they don't know. But that it turned out that was actually kind of a red herring because, well, she dies this episode. The thing they find out though is that there's this kid there who it turns out is a spirit who I can't even remember exactly all the stuff we got of the backstory. Like wasn't he like mistreated by his parents and then I think was it his father and him or his mother and him or something? I don't remember, but it ends up with several of them being killed and turned into food and eaten. And when I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, okay, this is so ridiculously edgy. Is this supposed to be like a joke? Is this dark comedy? Because I don't know. The series has had jokes. It's had comedy. Is this so over the top that it's supposed to be funny in a dark way? I don't know, but that's basically it. Anyway, the kid is apparently super strong because, like I said, he manages to kill the possessed exorcist person, and that is basically our episode.
Yeah, I wasn't really too keen on this episode. Yeah, I really don't have much to say about it. overall, I feel like the show hasn't been too good in its recent episodes. I think it was a lot better whenever they were just doing this for fun rather than doing this as with this, goal in mind. It was really entertaining when it's like, okay, let's just go check out some haunted places and let's go, and that was fun. That was fun. This feels like, well, they have to do it, and it's just not nearly as fun. So yeah, I feel like it hasn't been as good lately.
So for this episode, it's kind of a mixed bag for me. On the one hand, like I said, it goes so hard, I feel, on what some people just call the edge, edginess, that it was just kind of annoying to me. On the other hand, it at least seemed like we were doing a little more with the overall plot. We did find out the stuff about them, like Ghost replacing people. That was a little interesting. So we'll see how that ends up going if we do more with that. So yeah, this episode was kind of a mixed bag to me. It was better and worse than the last few episodes, but those, like I said last week, I think have been getting kind of repetitive and a little boring. So there's 5 episodes left. But when we reach the end of the season, I'm kind of hoping the series will manage to turn itself around and get a bit back to the things that made us really like the series at the start.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so all right, we've gotten that. Then we get to another series and another end of the series. Another season finale, which in reference to, when I say another, I mean the Full Metal Panic, because Dark Gathering didn't end yet, but Full Metal Panic did. Maybe I should have reversed the order just so I could make the transition better. Anyway, we've got Konosuba episode 31. So, after Kazuma managed to get all the required money to pay off Darkness's family's debt, which he managed to by taking the money they made through adventuring and also basically selling all of his ideas, including future ones, to Vanir. So Kazuma, didn't he say at some point in this episode, did he say he sold out? Because I feel like he said that at some point.
Yeah.
Okay. So he gets that, turns it over, though the bad guy is having some trouble collecting it because everyone else sees all the money and tries to take it for themselves. Our main characters do manage to escape and get away with the help of a lot of various other people. We find out that the bad guy, Alderp, was setting up all this stuff because he was in league with this demon, but due to the contract being expired, demon then, it's not presumably kills him. It wasn't entirely clear whether he was or not, but at any rate, he disappears, and thus everything works out fine for all of our main characters, and that's our episode, basically.
Yeah, what was the part about the end where Darkness accepted their offer?
Offered to go back into their party, you mean?
Yeah.
What do you mean? What are you asking? I'm a little confused.
Well, I was just saying that's how it ended.
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. I thought you were asking me a question. Yeah, that was where it ended on. Sorry. I thought you were asking what she accepted. I misunderstood. Yep. And
that's okay.
Okay. And yeah, that's the end of this season of Konosuba.
Yeah, so this episode, I haven't really thought about what I thought of this. So, I'm going to have to thinking about it. I don't know. Let's see. if we want to talk about the season as a whole, I I like Konosuba. I do like it. I mean, I just feel like something was missing this season. I think what was missing this season was Aqua. I think that's the problem. This whole storyline of how we're gonna make Kazuma and Megumin fall in love, that kind of thing. They kind of that came up during last season, and now it was kind of a thing. Like, okay, we gotta separate him and Aqua so we don't have the more natural pair come together. So how are we going to do that? Well, we're just going to pretty much cut Aqua out of the show, except to drink wine and to have that egg. And that's pretty much all Aqua did all season long. And that's a shame because Aqua had some of the funniest moments in the first two seasons. I mean, nothing will ever beat that confession booth episode. That was the best ever. Now, granted, I still believe that Darkness is the best girl, and but we lost some time with Darkness too because C left for a while, and then we lost some time with Kazuma because he went off with this Irish character who I really dislike. And so I'm saying all this negative stuff, but I still gave this season a 7 out of 10, which is like the same I gave to the second raid. So, yeah, I feel like this season wasn't as good as the first two seasons, but it still is Konosuba. And it still is funny, and it still is entertaining, and I'll still watch it as long as it keeps on coming out.
Okay. So, for me, I think, it's season's a bit of a mixed bag. One of all of the sort of excessive fan service joke stuff kind of bugged me in the previous Konosuba seasons, and it was kind of here, but for the most part, not as much. So that's good. In terms of plots and stuff, I didn't dislike Iris as much as you did, but at the same time, I do think that this season ultimately is two arcs. I believe it's based on two of the light novels, which explains why this season has two very distinct parts. The first one is the stuff with Iris. The second one was all the stuff with Dark and the kind of forced marriage to pay off the debts and stuff. I think the second one was more interesting than the first, definitely. There were still some good jokes here. I do like the fact that there actually has been some development for the characters. They do actually, like Kazuma and the others, they are able to be competent and stuff. They're still kind of idiots, but they've wisened up a bit, and they're able to work together for things better. I do appreciate that kind of change, because at the start of the series, they're all just total idiots, and they don't manage to really do much at all. I like the fact they actually are growing and becoming more competent and working together, while still, of course, being idiots, and thus giving us a bunch of good jokes about it. So, I don't. So there's that. But at the same time, I kind of feel I feel like the season was kind of more in the middle than the previous two seasons. It didn't have anything I disliked. There were things in those seasons I disliked more than anything in this season. But there were things in those seasons I liked more than anything in this season. This season was kind of more consistently in the middle. It didn't have the great points, but it didn't have the really bad points either. So, I don't know. At the end of the day, I'm just going to say this. Look, I don't think anyone's going to jump into this in the third season. if you've seen the first 2 seasons of Konosuba, you know if you like Konosuba, okay? Oh, and the movie, which takes place between the second and third season. So there's no point in any real recommendation. If you like Konosuba, you'll like this. If you don't like Konosuba, this won't change your mind. So, yeah, I guess that's my overall thoughts on it. It's a season of Konosuba.
Yeah, it just wasn't as good as the first 2. So, yeah, that's all I really have on that.
Okay. One other thing I want to say. Once again, if you really like Konosuba and you want to see where the story goes, it's all based on a light novel series. I believe, and I'll just double check on this quick, that if you want to continue from where the season left off, you would start on the 7th light novel. Now, I don't know if maybe some things might have... No, the 8th. I forgot, because the Legend of Crimson, that was one of the light... Each of the seasons comprised 2 light novels. The movie was 1, so you would want to therefore start with... Let me make sure I've got this. No, that's not... Or is this... I think it's... Let me just double check on this. I think it's... Unless I'm... Sorry, just trying to check. Well, whatever. If you really want to find it out, I'm sure you can look it up yourself. I think you would start on the 8th light novel, but there might have been some stuff that was cut out that was important in some way. Alternatively, if you're someone who just wants it to be more visual, there is a manga adaptation, but I don't know exactly at what point the anime leaves off in comparison to that. You kind of have to figure that out yourself. But if you want more Konosuba and you don't want to wait for another season, I don't think... Have they announced one yet? I don't think they've announced a 4th season yet. They probably will do it, but it's not guaranteed. So if you want more Konosuba, that's how you can continue it.
Mm-hmm.
And there we go. I guess that's it for Konosuba. I don't think I have too much else to say about it. Anything you want to say?
No, that pretty much sums it up for me.
Okay. Then we've got Kaiju number 8, episode 10, which gives one of the... It gives this one... The title of this episode is Secret Revealed. That's kind of a... You have to spoiler warning the title of this episode. Because
yeah, I kind of spoiled it last week whenever I was like, I said, something big's happening next week, because I saw the title, so I knew this was coming.
Yeah. So basically they end up, they're still fighting the big attack of the kaiju. They managed to pull it off. The Mina and Soichiro managed to work together, especially to beat the really big bad one. We also do get a little bit of a flashback to some things there, which was, well, it was kind of short. It was more, if you want to know more about the exciting backstory of Soichiro, you should check out Kaiju number 8, B-Side, the spin-off manga that goes into more detail about the backstories of some of the characters. Honestly, his was actually the only one in that spin-off that was particularly interesting. Anyway, so it seems like things are great, and then they realize, oh yeah, we should look up, and then see that there's this big, giant, massive kaiju stuff coming from the sky, and that's going to flatten them all. If I remember correctly, this was an episode of Neon Genesis Evangelion. So Kafka decides, well, I've seen the title. I guess this is the point where I turn into Kaiju number 8 in front of everyone and defeat this thing. So he does, and then he beats it. And that's all great, although he then kind of gets taken into custody afterwards. And thus, that is our episode. One I think we had very different opinions on. Do you want to go first?
Yeah. So my opinion is very negative which is, you know, very on brand for me. But I hated almost everything about this episode. Like, first, you have this boring flashback, and then you have, you know, he beats the guy who looks like G. Ichimaru, which I thought it was a pretty funny coincidence. They're both squad 3. I thought that was interesting. But so then they're all celebrating and joking and laughing, and they don't notice some enormous kaiju floating over their heads, and they're just parting away. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, we're in trouble, guys. And it's like, yeah, if you would have just looked up, you would have seen it. And so then that whole kaiju number 8 thing, which I was expecting the big reveal was going to be this really dramatic thing, and it turns out to be very stupid, in my opinion. It was just like, okay, I'm going to go fight it as kaiju number 8. And instead of it happening in like a really tense moment wherever someone's life was in danger, it was just kind of like, okay, I'm off to do it. And then he does it, and then he beats it. And then the dumbest part of the whole episode comes whenever they get all angry at him and are like, we're taking you into custody because you're kaiju number 8. And it's like, well, you just saw him save all your lives. Yet you're going to just, and now you hate the guy, even though without him, you'd probably be dead right now. Like, that doesn't make any sense. So I didn't like anything about this episode, and it's to the point where I don't know if I'm going to continue with it beyond this season, because I just feel like this was the big moment for the show. Like, you had to nail this part, and if you didn't nail this part, then because the whole idea about the show was this big reveal going to be whenever everyone finds out he's kaiju number 8, and now they shot their bolt. You know, they didn't do a very good job with it. So yeah, I did not like this episode one bit.
I really liked this episode. I thought the action was good. The flashback I thought was it was a bit of a mixed bag. Ironically, I don't think I cared much about it the first time around, but I did read some of that spin-off thing, and well, actually, this just made me think, oh, this is just an abbreviated version of the more interesting version of it that we had in there. So I guess there's that. Mm-hmm. And I will say it is a little dumb that they didn't notice, oh, all those like kaiju, those flying ones have all gone above us and coalesced together and are going to fall onto us. It's just, yeah, how do you not notice that? Shouldn't there at least, even if we accept that they did it really quickly, you should notice a sudden shadow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or was this at night? I can't remember. I'm suddenly realizing I don't remember offhand what time of day this was. Maybe it was at night. Let me pull this episode up very quickly just to check. But anyway, I don't know. I thought it made sense that he did it now because, you know, everyone's lives were kind of in danger, and I'm kind of glad they got it done now instead of, you know, just putting it off longer. I thought this was a pretty good time for the reveal. In regards to the arrest thing, I'm trying to think. The next episode might change your opinion, maybe, but I don't know if I want to say too much about that yet.
Okay, yeah, we'll see.
It might not. I just don't want to. I just don't I'm just remembering the time where I remember you got really annoyed about this one character dying in JoJo, and I was thinking, well, I got spoiled and I actually know they're alive. Should I tell you?
Which character was that?
That was Speedwagon. When it looked like he got killed by, I think, the vampire or something near the beginning of part 2.
Yeah, that's a long time. I can barely. All I remember about is season 1 was there was a rugby match, and then season number 2 was Cars, right? Season number 2 was Cars.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So that's about. My JoJo was so bizarre, as it says in the title, that I have a hard time remembering a lot of things that went on. But yeah.
Okay, I checked. I don't know if it's at night, but the sky is definitely darker. So at least it's there's stuff blocking the sun, or it's at night. So okay, them not noticing the shadow makes a little more sense. But it is still a little weird that no one seems to notice it at first.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that was the one thing I will say I didn't really like. But other than that, I think this might. I actually did like it. I think this might be one of the larger divergences we've had on a single episode.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, we'll see if the if you end up maybe changing some of that if the remaining 2 episodes, or maybe not. I don't know. Okay, Spice and Wolf, Merchant Meets the Wise Wolf, episode 4.
Okay, so basically after they do some stuff, they get chased by these bad people and have to escape where they're staying. And then it turns out that Lawrence got away. Looks like Polo got caught. And now the other people are going to do something to her. So he has to give away her identity. And I think that's where I left off. I'm not sure. Did I get it right?
You got it right.
Okay.
So first I want to mention something. I got mixed up and watched this episode last week. So that's what. So if anyone was listening, you might have noticed that I referred to things that didn't actually happen in the episode I was in the 3rd episode, because I mentioned Holo being captured, and you didn't say anything about that not happening, but I guess I said it in a kind of vague way, so maybe you didn't notice it. So that was I think what must have happened was I saw the 3rd episode pretty soon after we recorded the podcast, then forgot I watched it and just watched the next episode and thought that was it. So last week I thought that this was the episode we watched.
Yeah, I've done that before, so don't feel bad.
Well, it's just funny that I didn't even notice until I went and I see, okay, we're watching episode 4. Oh, it says I've already watched it. Okay, well, let's look at it. No, this is the episode I watched. Did I get so I'm looking back. Okay, is it possible? Okay, the previous podcast said we watched the 3rd episode. So did I, like in the description? Now, did those numbers get off? Because sometimes that happens. The numbers get off and you just have to go back and figure out where the error was. And then I listen like, no, this is definitely this episode. So there's all that. In the off chance anyone was wondering what in the world I was referring to last episode, that's it.
Yeah, I didn't pay close enough attention to notice.
I didn't say anything super specific, so I can see why someone might not realize that. But anyway, yeah, so my thoughts last episode apply to this one. Basically, the fact that we got a bit more, I guess, we moved away from all the merchant stuff with the bad guys going after them, but then after Holo gets captured, Lawrence goes to ask for a guy for help, and they talk about more merchant economic stuff.
Yeah, that's a recurring theme of the show, I've heard.
Mm-hmm.
Like a big thing about it is that a lot of people say they learn economics from the show.
Well, I don't know how much of the economics is that super useful to me so far, because it's mostly a bunch of stuff that does, oh, it's the amount of silver in the coins, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's a lot less important nowadays because of paper money and all. So
Yeah, well, I've actually seen people have the way long time ago have panels at cons where they would like teach people economics using the show. So, so I knew that had something to do with the show, but I'm enjoying the whole romantic angle to the show. So I I think it's actually one of the better romances I've seen lately. Like a lot better than the one from the show with the word romantic in the title. And so yeah, I'm enjoying that. But yeah, the economic stuff that does go right over my head.
Mhm. Yeah, like I said last week, at a certain point, I just start viewing it like when they explain how they made the food in an episode of Food Wars. But yeah, the more interesting part is the interactions between the two leads. I wouldn't call it romantic yet because I don't think there's really been anything in that yet. I'm going to they will probably go in that direction from what I've heard. I think it does, but I don't think we're really there yet. So but their interactions are good at any rate. At any rate, unlike my teen romantic comedy Snafu, it doesn't put romance in the title. It's not Spice and Wolf romance. It's just Spice and Wolf. Well, technically, it's Spice and Wolf Merchant meets the Wise Wolf, but, they needed a subtitle to separate it from the original series, I guess.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and yeah, too much else to say about that. Then we'll go back to the Toonami Rewind, at least for now, because is it next week they're skipping ahead to the Chunin exams and switching things up? I can't remember exactly. Well, this week actually, because we're recording on Wednesday.
Yeah, I think they are doing it now. They kind of sprung it on everyone.
Okay, that's also when we're having 2 episodes of Sailor Moon instead of 1, right? Well,
yeah.
Okay, we'll find out. Anyway, let's go.
Yeah, we'll find out.
Yeah, we'll go on. So we got Sailor Moon episode 6.
Okay, so it's I keep on saying this every week, but it's the same thing. Only this time it was about wanting to be a star and wanting to be a singer, and people got trapped into it and they sucked their energy away, and then Sailor Moon or Usagi got into it, and then finally Luna forces her to turn to Sailor Moon, which she did in all the other episodes, and she becomes Sailor Moon, and then Tuxedo Mask shows up and just says some words of encouragement, and then she defeats the bad guy, and then everything's back to normal. And that is pretty much the description of 6 episodes in a row now. But next episode, we're getting a new character. So
actually, more like 7. I'm sorry, I goofed up. I said this was episode 6. It's actually episode 7, I realized. Well, I guess the first episode was a little different because it introduced the things. But yeah, this was basically... I haven't seen... There were a few episodes I missed, but from the ones I've seen, yep, it's the same one each time, basically. Honestly, at this point, why every single time there's some sort of new fad, they should just assume a monster's behind it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, people are now interested in this new thing? It must be the work of an enemy stand. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
a monster. Okay. Yeah, not much else to say other than, okay, well, I'm glad we're getting someone new introduced next episode based on the preview because, like I said, I think this show is showing why on Power Rangers they don't start the season with just one Ranger and spend like 5 episodes with them. They introduce several ones at the start and then introduce more as it goes on. But you got at least 3 at the start of every season, I think. All right. Then we got Dragon Ball Z Kai episodes 13 and 14. So basically, Vegeta decides he's going to fight Goku because Goku's able to fight pretty strong against Nappa because he's got a power level of over 8,000.
Over 8,000.
Or over 9,000, depending on the dub. In any event, Nappa decides to go after Gohan and Krillin. Goku beats him pretty hard, and Vegeta decides, you're useless now, and just kills him. Nappa, I mean. Gohan and Krillin decide to leave because Goku was saying, I'll take care of him. Besides, this is a shonen battle series. Don't you know it's all about one-on-one fights? Goku and Vegeta do fight against each other. Goku manages to get the upper hand by using the triple Kaioken, although that's increasingly dangerous and wears him out more. He does anyway. He manages to apparently beat Vegeta, though Vegeta comes back and uses a he wants to turn into the giant monkey under the full moon, except the full moon is gone because Piccolo destroyed it. So he just makes his own sort of custom moon and uses it to turn into the giant monkey. And then he starts doing a lot better against Goku as in the giant monkey. Maybe I should just call him Donkey Kong. So Vegeta's able to apparently starts winning, and Gohan and Krillin decide to head back because I guess the required quota for it being a one-on-one fight has been lifted now.
Yeah, and some reason I think there's going to have to be a charging up of the spirit bomb at some point. So I don't know how long we are from getting there yet, though.
Yeah, Goku said he did want to use a spirit bomb. He decided, I got to use a spirit bomb to beat this guy, but he doesn't have the time to concentrate to do it because Vegeta keeps attacking him. I mean, it's not as bad in Kai, but again, in the original, Goku needs plenty of time to do the spirit bomb. Remember, he spent more than an episode charging it up in the original series. I can't remember if it took that long in Kai, but it definitely, it's a very charging up attack. All right. Then we've got Naruto episode 7, which doesn't actually matter that much, I guess, because we're going to skip past everything in this plot soon. But ultimately, I'll just say it quick. So Kakashi, after they, get on a boat and progress forward, now Kakashi decides to ask the merchant, hey, so why were those guys after you? It's so weird. He apparently doesn't ask that there. They just go on to a different place and then he asks them. Anyway, then Zabuza gets hired to go and take out heroes. He shows up and Kakashi fights against him. And then it looks like Zabuza got defeated. And, well, unfortunately, that cliffhanger won't be resolved because we're skipping to episode 20. If you want to know what happened, no, he does not get defeated here. They do manage to defeat him, but he gets away. Then they have a rematch later on between him and Kakashi, and Kakashi's able to win, and basically the good guys manage to get the bridge built. The bad guy who is behind Zabuza is killed, and yeah, that's basically this arc in a nutshell, and that's what you need to know before you go on to the next, the tuning exam arc that we're apparently skipping to.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm really disappointed that we're just going to, yeah, yeah. I was hoping that we would get to see this to a proper conclusion, but we aren't. So, shooting exam time.
Yeah, I mean that was a really popular arc, but it. Let me just check. Yep, it is. It's next episode starts the tuning exam arc, so that yeah, just kind of just a weird choice. I'm going to assume there was some reason they did it behind the scenes. Maybe it was ratings. Maybe it was maybe there's some sort of weird rights issue for all I know. But that's apparently what we're doing. I guess if you want to catch up on what's going on in between, I kind of described it quickly, but I think the whole series is it on Crunchyroll? I think Viz has the rights to it, so it's not necessarily. Yes, Naruto's on Crunchyroll, though I think it's only subbed. So yeah, Crunchyroll has the sub, but not the dub. I don't know where the dub is. Maybe it's on Hulu or something.
I actually think Adult Swim might actually have it, because they said something in that Facebook post. They said something about you can view the episodes on our website. So I didn't exactly know what they meant by that, but it's possible.
There is a page where they, if you go to adultswim.com/videos, then it'll list all the shows, including Toonami things, and you can click on those to look at them. Right now, though, I'm only seeing the first 7 episodes of Naruto listed there.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. I guess if someone wants to go through it quickly, you could pick up the manga. It's available on let's see. I know it's on the Shonen Jump app, which is another one, which like Viz Manga, which I mentioned before, is one of those ones where, well, you can subscribe to it, but you have to do it through the app, but you can read it online, but you have to subscribe through the app and then sync your accounts there or something. So, is it on Manga Plus? Yeah. Yes, it's also on Manga Plus, but both of those do require subscriptions. Technically, Shonen Jump's cheaper because it's $3 per month to access everything. Manga Plus is $5. I guess you could always just sign up for the free trial, speed read through them, and then cancel it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the case if anyone wants to check that out. Anyway, because yeah. For complete, Manga Plus lets you read all the chapters of an ongoing series for free. Well, with a restriction, you can only read them once. But for a completed series, you have to get like the premium subscription. So I mean, it's still cheap, but there is a price there. Anyway, I guess that's Naruto. That's where we're gonna leave this one off at. I mean, the Chunin exam's a good arc, but I would have liked to have seen this one again.
Yeah, I'm disappointed. I'm not really sure. In fact, I don't think I even saw these episodes in between because whenever I first watched Naruto, it was this like whole weekend marathon on Cartoon Network way back in like 2007 or something. So I stayed up really late at night and I got through most of this arc, but then I fell asleep and then I didn't wake up again until it was the tuning exam. So I'm never going to know what happened in between there. So, because they don't want me to know. So because they put on those episodes on at 2 a.m, and I couldn't stay up for that. And now they're doing it to me again. So there you have it.
I do think so yeah. So how much of the Chunin exam did you see?
I saw most of it up until some of the battles. I saw some of the battles, and then I stopped there.
Okay. All right. Interestingly, I remember I can't remember where I read this, but apparently in an interview, I can't remember if it was the author or the editor, but they mentioned that so in this arc, of course, is them going on a mission. You know, they went on this thing, they go to the land of waves, I think it is, and they get into these fights and all this stuff. And obviously it got way more complicated than they originally intended, but that was the thing, ninja mission. So I think apparently the author originally planned to, you know, focus more on like mission stuff, but then the editor suggested that they should, you know, do something to like kind of expand the world and bringing things, people from the other villages, and that resulted in the Chunin exam arc. That's why that's after this. So maybe they're just thinking, oh well, you know, back then they decided to not do more missions, so and go straight to the Chunin exam arc, so let's do that. Or actually, that's probably complete coincidence, but I thought that was something interesting that I found. Oh, if only I could remember where I saw it, but I saw it posted, I think, a few months ago. Yeah, I mean, you know, a lot of times people complain about editors, but that is something that clearly worked out very well for Naruto.
Yeah.
I think I know some people, and then depending on who you ask, this was either a great call or a terrible call by the editor. But apparently they were the one that suggested that that there be more of a rival character, which is how Sasuke got introduced. Which which a lot of people I'm sure are very happy about, and I'm sure a lot of people, as soon as he found out, are starting to curse that editor for suggesting it. Okay, well, I guess that's all of the series that we've covered. I guess we can give some rankings then.
Okay, so if I were including Full Metal Panic, it would have won this week, but since I'm not but I will be once we watch the 4th season. But this week, 3rd place is One Piece, 2nd place is Spice and Wolf, and Konosuba finishes season on top.
Okay, for me, as usual, it's a tricky one because I've just got 3. It's like I know the series, but what order do I put them in? Well, I'll admit that I've got a little bias against Spice and Wolf because I saw it a while ago, but even so, yeah, I don't think that will make it onto it. My top 3 will be, it's deciding between the top 2. That's a tricky one. Well, okay. So for 3rd place, I'll go with Full Metal Panic, the 2nd raid. And my tiebreaker between the 1st and 2nd, which for the record are Kaiju number 8 and Konosuba. Let's do it alphabetically. Kaiju number 8 takes it. Sorry, Konosuba, you should have moved up a little in the alphabet. No, I changed my mind. Let's put Konosuba on top. All right, let's do the opposite. Everyone always does things in alphabetical order. That is completely unfair. What if your name starts with a Z or something? Let's reverse it. We're going against the grain, man. Konosuba number 1. Anyway, there you go. So, anything else to talk about before we sign off?
No, except that I'm going to be on a vacation for a couple weeks and a half coming up, and we'll have to pause the podcast for a few weeks, though we will have one next week.
Mm-hmm.
But we will pause it for, I think, 2 weeks off, and then come back, and we'll be back and better than ever, I hope.
We'll probably be about the same as we were before.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
So for next week, because of that, we're changing things. Because of the fact we had 2 of our series functionally end, we're going to be changing things up a bit. For next week, we're going to be watching 2 episodes of Kaiju number 8, 2 episodes of Dark Gathering, and 1 episode of Spice and Wolf.
mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
That's it. We'll see you all for next week, and we'll try to do better next time.
Bye.
Summer is for reconnecting with old friends. Wetting your whistle and staring into the void. Who said you can't have it all?
Yeah, that sounds pretty good.
Shut your cake hole!
Bring it on.
Checkered Past, Monday through Thursday from 5 to 7, only on Adult Swim.
The original Justice League has become a memory.
I am resigning from the Justice League.
What's gonna happen to the League now?
We rebuild. From the ashes of that great conflict, a new team has arisen. A much, much bigger team.
Each of you brings something different to the table.
Old friends, new heroes. And as usual, plenty of bad guys jumping up to get beat down.
Calm down, and I'll let you go. How about you kiss my ass?
Watch out, evildoers. There's nowhere to run. Because this year, they're all around you. The League is unlimited. Toonami presents an all-new original series starring every superhero worth cheering for, and then some. Justice League Unlimited, premiering July 31st at 8:30 p.m.
And where am I exactly?
Among friends.
There's strength in numbers. Only Toonami.